Global human resource management. As we know, employees on international assignments represent valuable assets and need to be managed systematically and strategically so that they can easily adapt, survive, and flourish in diverse cultures and environment. At the same time, managers involved in global businesses have to operate in increasingly complex, interdependent global environment. So they have to adjust their management styles, their HR strategies to those regions of the world in which they operate, whether directly or through some form of alliance. Let us see how does the evolution of global business take place. Normally, companies evolve to the point of being global over an extended period of time. Most companies initially become international without making substantial investments in foreign countries. These methods can be exporting, licensing, or franchising. Let us see what are these terms. Exporting involves selling abroad, maybe directly or indirectly, by retaining foreign agents and distributors. It is a way that many small companies enter the global market. Some of the leading Indian exporting companies are Tata Steel, Sun Pharma, Reliance Industries. Next is licensing. Licensing is an arrangement where an organization grants a foreign firm the right to use its intellectual properties such as patents, copyrights, manufacturing process, or trade names for a specified period of time. Example, Calvin Klein, Walt Disney. And it is very interesting to know that 90% of Calvin Klein earning is through licensing. Next is franchising. It's an option wherein the parent company grants another firm the right to do business in a prescribed manner. Franchisors must use stricter operational guidelines than do licensees. Licensing is usually limited to manufacturers, whereas franchising is popular with service firms such as restaurants, hotels, etc. Example, KFC, Pizza Hut, McDonald's. Although exporting and licensing, franchising are good initial entry options, in order to take full advantage of global opportunities, companies must make substantial investment in other countries. Companies can vary greatly in their degree of global involvement. They may be multinational corporation, global corporation, or transnational. Now, what is the difference between these types? A multinational corporation is a firm which owns or controls business activities in more than one country. It directs manufacturing and marketing operations in several countries. Those operations are coordinated by a parent company, a parent which is directing manufacturing and marketing in other countries simultaneously, usually based in the firm's home country. So, the examples are IBM, Microsoft, TCS, whereas a global corporation has corporate units in a number of countries that are integrated to operate as one organization worldwide. The global corporation operates as if the entire world is a one global market. Global corporations sell essentially the same product in same manner throughout the world with components that may be made or designed in different countries. Example, American Express, Adobe, Cisco. The last one is transnational company or transnational corporation. It's a firm that has some global integration of manufacturing coupled with significant national response. Transnational companies overcome the limitation of global corporation by recognizing the importance of local needs as well as the integration of communication and knowledge flows throughout the organization, like the Unilever and Apple does. Now, with having this background in our mind about the evolution of global business and the types of corporation, now let us see and try to understand what exactly is international HRM or global HRM. International HRM is the process of procuring, allocating, and effectively utilizing human resources in a multinational corporation while balancing the integration and differentiation of HR activities in foreign location. So we can see that it is doing the same task which is being done by the domestic HRM, only the focus is different. In this figure, we can see the interrelationship between approaches to the field of global HRM. It is evident that there is an inevitable overlap between cross-cultural management issues and comparative HR and IR system to make it global HRM in multinational context. Next is Morgan's model of global HRM. The definition which we discussed just now was given by Morgan, and now we are seeing the PV Morgan's model of global HRM. We'll take all the terms mentioned in this diagram one by one. We can see that the types of employees involved are host country. The types of countries involved are host country, home country, and other countries. The types of employees are host country nationals, parent country nationals, and the third country nationals. And the activities carried out by all these employees and these countries are to procure, allocate, and utilize. Now let us see in detail what do we mean by host country national, parent country national, or host country, and so on. Countries of operation. Global HRM deals with three types of countries as we saw in the diagram. Host country, the country in which a subsidiary may be located. Home country, the parent country or where the headquarters of a company are situated or located. Other countries other than the host or home countries, that may be a source of labor, finance, or other types of employees. Global HRM deals with three types of employees primarily. The first one, host country nationals. These are employees who are from the country in which the MNC operates. For example, an Indian, if working for IBM, that is a US based company in India, is host country national. If we have a subsidiary of IBM in India and the Indian is working in that company, then that employee will be known as host country national. Next is parent country national. These are employees from the parent company of the country of the company. For example, if a US citizen works for IBM in India, he is called TCN. I'm repeating, if an American or a US citizen works for IBM in India, then he is a parent country national. The last one is third country national. Employees who neither belong to the parent company or the parent or the host country. For example, an Indian, if working for IBM in UK, then that Indian will be known as TCN. So the concept is quite clear now about the host country national, parent country national, and third country national. Now, whenever we talk about the global human resource management or the international human resource management, the term which we most often use is an expatriate. Now let us try to see what does this term mean. Who is an expatriate? An expatriate is someone who leaves the parent country or the native country and goes to some other country to work, is known as expatriate. Expatriate is basically a Latin word. If I break this term into two terms, ex means out of, patriate means his paternal country or native country. So the expatriate is the one who leaves his or her native place and moves to another some other places for assuming different kind of roles. That person may move temporarily or permanently into a foreign country. Now let us try to see who all can be termed as expatriate, because it is clear that PCNs, that is parent country nationals, are always expatriates. They have to leave the headquarters and move to some other countries. But here in this diagram, I am going to tell you that the host country nationals and the TCNs can also be expatriate. In this diagram or figure, let us take the example of Samsung. Samsung is a South Korea based company. So the parent country or the headquarter country, let us imagine that the parent country is South Korea. A person from, let us assume that the subsidiary operations country A is Singapore and country B is India. So if someone from the headquarters, that is South Korea, comes to Singapore, then you can see the arrow PCN, then this employee will be known as an expatriate. Similarly, if someone who's working for Singapore Samsung moves to the headquarter, then that person will also be known as an expatriate. And of course, that person will be HCN, that is host country national. Similarly, this is going to happen with India. If someone from Samsung South Korea comes to India for working, then that person will be expatriate and a PCN, parent country national. And if the Indian moves to South Korea, that person will be HCN, that is host country national, and will be an expatriate. Also, if the employees from Singapore and India remaining in the same company moves to each other places, then also it will be termed as, those employees will also be termed as expatriate, because they will be crossing their national borders. So you can see in red line I have marked the national borders. So whenever you are crossing your national border to go to some other country, you are termed as expatriate. Now quickly let us see the approaches to global HRM. Global organizations adopt different approaches in their HR policies, procedures, staffing, and control. Some of these are ethnocentric. Ethnocentric approach means the company favors the home country rather than the host country in most aspects. Home country means the headquarters, the parent company. Home country managers are posted in preference to host country managers. This is known as ethnocentric. Polycentric, the reverse. The company favors the host country rather than the home country, and therefore the host country managers are preferred. In regiocentric approach, the company prefers the development of a particular region rather than home or host countries. So the managers may come from nations within the region. And the last one is geocentric. The company does not favor any region of country but views the whole world as a unified market. So these kind of companies believe in hiring best people. Best people are posted in places where they can be best used. And let us finally discuss the difference between the global HRM and domestic HRM. Global HRM addresses a broad range of IHRM activities, whereas domestic HRM focuses on a narrow range of activities, HR activities. Global HRM, HR issues related to employees belonging to more than one nationality. Domestic HRM, issues related to employees belonging to single nationality. Global HRM, greater involvement of HR manager in the personal life of employees, which is quite limited in case of domestic HRM. Next, in global HRM, greater exposure to risks in international assignments. These assignments may sometimes fail as well. Whereas in domestic HRM, there is less risk on failing of these assignments. And finally, in global HRM, it has to manage several external factors such as government regulations of foreign countries, whereas limited external factors to deal with in domestic HRM. This is all for the basics of global or international HRM. Thank you.